So let's talk about A Little Good Trouble. We are, first of all, let me just say that I really enjoyed this film because I think that myself, along with so many other people that have seen the film already since it hit on July 3rd and are going, even more people that are going to see it, have been enlightened to his legacy and didn't realize that he underwent as much as he did. Like everybody growing up, we know about the civil rights movement. We know what happened to people during the civil rights movement, but we never had it narrowed, singled, lensed in like this on anybody really until you did this documentary on John Lewis. And I know there was another one that was done on him, but this one is a little more laser focused and a little more, it's a broader scope of what his life is from the time he started his life until now. So for that, I appreciate you. And I just wanted to tell you that going into the interview.
I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you.
Black girl magic, yes. So how, I know that one of your producers is Erika Alexander. Did Erika find you? Did you find her? How did that go down?
We definitely found each other. So I had started the research process to do the movie. And then Erika, I didn't even know it. She had separately started working with the congressman's team to do a film. And then she called me and said, we are looking for a director for our John Lewis movie. And I said, I'm doing a John Lewis movie, but I loved her spirit. Of course, I knew she was Maxine Shaw. Like, who wouldn't love to be
right? Like
Maxine Shaw?
Maxine Shaw.
Exactly. And so I said, why don't we just do it together? Too often people are like competing, and I thought 1 + 1 would equal 15 with the two of us. That we, and she brings so much. She's an artist. She's generous. She's smart. But she also had a lot of connection. She had been campaigning with the congressman, with Ayanna Pressley, with Stacey Abrams. So her contacts were just so valuable. And she, was able to get all those folks on the phone, so that we were just a really good team. And I had a great producer, Laura Michael Chisin, who used to work for Robert Redford. So between, all of us together, everybody making a movie is hard, and balancing all the things that we have to balance. And this movie was too important to be precious about my movie, your movie. So I'm just glad she came into it with that same energy. Erika is so hardworking. She blows Maxine Shaw out of the water. Maxine Shaw is lazy Parker compared to Erika Alexander, who just really gave her all. So she's, and we had a lot of fun too, a lot of fun. Speaking of Black Girl Magic, there was, we were on Capitol Hill filming, and I don't know what you know about the Capitol Hill police, but they're not.
I went to Howard University, so
there you go. Okay. So we're in Capitol Hill and walking, and I think I had a camera or something, and the Capitol Hill police kind of roll up behind us, and I was like, oh no, here we go. And then it was a Black officer, and he said, can you take my picture with Maxine?
That's hilarious. Y'all thought it was about to be an incident, and all he
exactly and then same trying to get into the House of Representatives. The guards are all Black. Chocolate City is still real in a lot of government jobs, and everybody just wanted to take a picture without Erika. I was like, I should bring you every time I try to film in Congress. I get to bring you, Erika.
I know.
So I did a lot of selfies for people who wanted to be filming with Erika.
Hilarious. I know Erika socially, and her and I were on the Emily's List creative committee for a minute. So I know her socially, and I got to know her a little bit better through being involved with Emily's List. But for you personally, I want to know, when was the first moment that you became aware of John Lewis?
I think like most people, I learned about him in school, in college. But I did a film called Gideon's Army about 3 young Black public defenders, and he agreed to speak to them. And they were just beyond excited. And he told a story which I hadn't really thought of, and I hadn't heard, that it was the lawyers who got him out of jail and really kept him alive when he was protesting in the civil rights movement. And so he always will, help people who are lawyers who are working for justice. And I saw how much it meant to those young lawyers who are very unseen and unappreciated. So he's actually, the congressman's actually appeared in now 3 of my movies, only one of which is about him. And then I did a film about Bobby Kennedy, and I didn't know that John Lewis had volunteered for Bobby Kennedy's presidential campaign and had organized the speech in Indianapolis on the day that Dr. King was murdered.
It's so funny because I was just watching a film called, I think, Bobby Kennedy for President, or Bobby.
That's
Kennedy.
mine.
Yes. Oh, okay. I was watching that yesterday. Oh, I can have a whole nother conversation with you. I have to have a whole nother conversation with you about that, because I was watching that, and this is what I'm going to say real quickly about that, because I don't want to run out of time. When I watched that, I was like, okay, the Kennedy family has been so romanticized in American history folklore that some of the stuff that was in that film, it literally made me pick up the phone and call my dad, because my dad was one of the Marines that fought during the Bay of Pigs. And so when the Bay of Pigs is mentioned in the film, I was like, Bay of Pigs, why does that sound familiar to me? I'm like, I think my dad talked to me about that. I literally paused the film and went and had like an hour conversation with my father.
Oh, see, that makes me so happy.
I did. I had a whole conversation with my father. I was like, Daddy, you got to see this film. It's about this. It's on Netflix, da-da-da-da-da. And I was telling him this whole thing about this movie. It was hilarious. But girl, I have to talk to you another time just about that movie, because that was bananas.
I'm happy to do it. But, when I pitched to Netflix, I was like, this is going to be the blackest Bobby Kennedy you ever see, because it was Black people who really pushed him into his civil rights advocacy. Marion Wright Edelman, John Lewis, so many people, Dr. King pushed him into the person that he became.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, that's why you need to study history. And that's why you need.
And I'm going to tell you, history was like my worst subject in school. I hated history. I was so bored. And now I'm like all about it. I'm like, ooh, what else can I find out? I'm like this. And I think I'm like that because of the movement that we're going through right now. Yeah. And I think that your film is a perfect guidebook, so to speak, in cinema of how we went from the civil rights movement to how we got to where we are exactly right now today in history with Black Lives Matter. Because in a lot of respects, the Black Lives Matter movement isn't any different than the civil rights movement. The only difference is that it is multiple races marching and protesting and reaching out and speaking out, whereas in the 60s, it was mostly us. And the other biggest difference is that we have digital stuff now. We have the internet, we have social media, we have all these different things that can get the message out there quicker, faster, and reach the masses in a huge, huge, huge number of ways. So that was really cool. But I wanted to know from your point of view, how do you think the film is going to resonate for that reason? Because we do have Black Lives Matter, and this is somebody who was at the forefront of the civil rights movement and almost lost his life, was repeatedly jailed, beaten, endured all this stuff so that we can enjoy some of the liberties that we enjoy today as Black people in America. And now here we are again, because history is yet again repeating itself. So what impact do you think Good Trouble is going to make in that respect?
I think a number of things. One is Mr. Lewis says we can't rest. We can't assume that we don't have to be protective. We don't have to protect these rights. But he will also point out, there was an interracial movement, but it was also very much led by Black people, which is wonderful. But there is now, we are seeing, unlike where there were protests just in the South or just in certain places, we have now seen protests in all 50 states in America and around the world. So everything that Mr. Lewis and his, compatriots were arguing for is resonating with many, many more people. And you're right, social media is such a powerful tool. So I would love to see, what a John Lewis and those activists, those young people, because they used media so successfully. When you look at how they trained and how they were calm, their appearance, they dressed nicely, they knew what message they were sending. We are people. We are proud people. We are peaceful, and people who attack us, they are the savages. I love what Bernard Lafayette says in this movie, one of Mr. Lewis's friends. He keeps saying, we kept giving them the opportunity to change. And I feel like that a lot when I see these, Karen this and Karen that. It's like, you have the opportunity to change. You know what's right. And we're going to keep calling you out until you change. Like, we're not going anywhere. We live here too. That flag is my flag and your flag. It is not a flag of hate. So, I think that people need to reclaim that flag and point out what it really stands for. I want to wave it proudly again.
So do I. I think that is a perfect note for us to end on. I'm so happy that we finally had this opportunity to chat. I'm serious about talking to you about that Bobby Kennedy thing, because that blew my mind. I was like, what is happening right now? And I'm a big supporter of yours. I will continue to be. And thank you, Dawn, from the bottom of my heart. I really
thank you for your work. We need more of us as critics and as voices and pointing people, because that's how people find our work. So thank you.
You're welcome.
To keep up with the Curvy Critic, like our page here, click that subscribe button, and click that bell for notifications. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.